Donate at cancer.ca because empathy is bigger than apathy. Sun is bigger than any tumor, and life is bigger than cancer.
680 News Time, 641.
Traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Michael Ranger.
This report brought to you by Canadian Blood Services. Northbound DVP still got this collision approaching at Don Mills. Left lane here is lanes rather are blocked.
Here is a special message from the National Well Service. For the following counties,
collision, it's a good drive on the northbound DVP onto the north 404. Southbound 404 onto the south DVP looking good. A little bit slow as you approach
until Friday evening.
The issue on the other side of the highway. So
Justin Trudeau says we're going to get to the bottom of this virus.
Expression, but in China, it looks that Chinese government is focusing more on the rights to survival. So how exactly do you think we should define these concepts and easier to define?
If you do use that red, try
I think we have China and West have a different definitions of human rights and freedom of expression, and like we have, and even in democracy, because democracy in the Western kind of mindset is one person, one vote, right? But China also have democracy. What we mean by democracy is good governance, and we want good governance, which is good for the majority of the people, because there will be, disconforming voices in the society, and there are people asking for different,
China's refusing entry
asking for the maximization of their own interests. And what the leaders should do is to coordinate everything, the interests of all people, and come up with a solution that is acceptable to the majority of the people. The problem is the Western narrative. The Western propaganda has been around the world for centuries, and they usually mix the concepts, from private media, or the media should be independently owned, and then they would say, well, the privatization of the media means the news is objective, the news is truth, which is not true. And then they're saying the privatization of companies will bring corporate social responsibility of a company. That is also not true. And they will say judicial independence means judicial justice, which is, apparently not true. So what they are focusing on is what we call procedural democracy. If the process looks, fair, they don't care about the outcome. They don't care about the results. What I say about the Chinese way of doing things is that we really focus on the achievements, the results, the outcomes of what we do things.
Okay, thank you, Liu Yun, Deputy Executive Editor of the Beijing Review. Thank you for joining us. Morgan Stanley said Tesla will extend its rally through 2021 as rivals fail to catch up in the expanding e-vehicle market. For more on this, my colleague Zhao Yang spoke with John Gong, professor with University of International Business and Economics. So first of all, John, Tesla shares rose to a record high in the first trading session of this year, extending last year's eightfold surge. So how do you explain it, and how can it have such a high valuation?
This is breathtaking. Just one company can increase value by 7-8 times just within 12 months. I think the reason behind this is that the market is looking for stars, and every time when it comes to a revolutionary time, and we are indeed in a revolutionary time when it comes to the vehicular industry, Tesla does represent the future revolution in my view, being purely electric cars. When it comes to a moment like this, the market is really highly rewarding companies like this. This has happened before. I mean, this is like the beginning of the Amazon.com, when Amazon.com was still quite small. Look at what happened to Amazon.com today. So clearly the market views Tesla in that perspective. This is going to be the next Amazon.com in the auto industry.
So you mentioned that Tesla is revolutionary. What's your view on the founder and CEO of Tesla, Elon Musk? He has been described as a genius and controversial and innovative. So how would you describe him?
Oh, absolutely. He's a genius. He's a serial genius. He's He's a serial entrepreneur. This is not the first company that he has succeeded. He has founded, my understanding is that he has founded PayPal. He has founded the other X-based company, that sends rockets into the sky. This company, Tesla, in the auto industry. So he certainly has a track record of making great successes in pretty much everything he touches, actually. So there got to be something that's very unique to him. And let me also point out that he was actually not American by birth. He is from South Africa, but it's such a great American success story that somebody from South Africa can come to the country and be widely successful beyond anybody's imagination. It's a truly a triumph of the American hero.
And what do you make of Tesla's strategy in China? Actually, after building a gigafactory in Shanghai, it also plans to start manufacturing e-vehicle chargers in China. And it has also begun exporting China-made Model 3 cars to more than 10 European countries. So how important is China for Tesla?
China is important to Tesla, just as China is important for the entire U.S. auto industry. China has the world's largest auto sales. It's the largest market with something like, I think it's like 20-some million cars sold each year. So it's clearly this is a largest market, very important market. It's also a fast-growing market. Fast-growing not only in terms of the auto industry's expansion in China, but also fast expansion in the electric vehicle space. China has the largest install base of purely electric cars, and it also has the fastest growth of electric cars. The government pays a lot of attention. It's a national policy, industrial policy to pop up the electric car industry. So I think it's extremely important for Tesla.
And the bad news for Tesla is keeping up with demand. Actually, Tesla's 2020 delivery numbers were impressive, but the company's success puts more pressure on its new factories in Texas and Germany. So what problems does it face with the factory construction in Germany?
Slavery laws, mostly.
Well, I think, Tesla's other operations in other parts of the world are inevitably affected by the pandemic. Here in China, we don't have this problem. We have a separate, different kind of problem, which is the meeting the demand. Now, put it in a more positive perspective. I think what people see, the challenges and problems associated with meeting demand for Tesla cars. I see a lot of Tesla cars being sold, actually. This is actually a good problem. I mean, any CEO would embrace a problem like this. So I think over time it's going to work out. They're working overnight to resolve problems. I think the auto industry has had a chain
families who lost loved ones in the crashes, and $1.8 billion to global airlines impacted by the grounding of the
So I think it's going to be
500 million for the families, 1.8 billion.
It's a great problem to resolve. And I think Tesla's future in China is very bright.
And on New Year's Day, Tesla announced it was cutting the price of its long-range version of the Model Y. It was actually a more than 30% price cut for the Model Y. So how can Tesla cut the price so sharply?
I think the car itself is overpriced. I mean, clearly the company has a very large margin on this model, and it can afford cutting prices as it streamlines the production chain. I think they're using many locally produced parts and components, which means they're less expensive. And also, I think the battery themselves are also getting cheaper by the day. So all things combined, contributing to the overall cost of electric cars being more and more competitive. And I think Tesla has some kind of a commitment with the Shanghai municipal government to meet certain volume target. And by cutting prices, it's greatly puts company into a better position to meet its volume commitment. It's a great car, I think, and people love it. The news is out that immediately after announcing the price cut, consumers will rush to showrooms and try to screw up this car. So it's actually a good thing for the market. It's a good thing for consumers.
And cutting price means it's more affordable, but will it help eat into the market share of the domestic makers like NIO and Xiaopeng?
Absolutely. Certainly, when a competitor decreases price, certainly the cross price necessarily would impact the demand for its competitors' products. I think these competitors would certainly feel the heat, but also I think in a way the market competition is always good. It forces these companies and other domestic companies to be more competitive, to make better products, more reliable products, more enjoyable products, at a more affordable prices. So overall, I think it's a very healthy market development. I think Chinese companies can also compete, not just based on low quality, low price cars. I mean, I think NIO and Xiaopeng cars are great cars as well. These two companies together with Tesla and other companies are competing in a level playing field. I think this auto industry development in China testifies to the fact that China's market is becoming more open.
That's Professor John Goon with University of International Business and Economics, speaking with my colleague Zhao Yan. You're listening to World Today. Stay with us.
For breaking news and stories that matter to you, find us on Twitter by searching for China Plus News, where we'll share with you our up-to-the-minute news, in-depth analysis, and live streaming videos. Visit China Plus News for your window on China and the world.
You're listening to World Today. I'm Zhao Ying. For the first time on record, South Korea reported more deaths than births in 2020, prompting calls for action to revamp demographic growth and sustain the economy. According to the South Korean Ministry of the Interior and Safety Census, there were only about 275,000 new births, a record compared to around 300,000 deaths, a 3.1% increase in fatalities from the previous year. The ministry in a news release said this is the first time South Korea has hit the population death cross and the first time the total population has shrunk. To talk more on this, we're now joined by Xu Yawen in the studio. So Yawen, for years, South Korea has struggled with a growing demographic crisis, and this is the first time for the country to hit the population death cross. That means the number of deaths surpasses births. How serious is that?
Yeah, so let me give you some numbers first to demonstrate how serious the situation is. In early 1950s, Korean women were having an average of 5.6 children in their lifetime, and today fertility rate was declined to 1.1, meaning about one child is born to a mother. By contrast, the global average is around 2.4 children. That means that South Korea has the lowest fertility rate in the world. And in the meantime, the population continues to age rapidly, meaning the society is turning gray and more seniors, fewer young people. And data showed 32.7% of Korean population are in their 40s and 50s, and nearly a quarter are over the age of 60. A quarter, that's about 25% of the total population. So with fewer young people in the country, the consequences are obvious. So fewer people make less stuff and less consumption, right? And declining population means slower economic growth and also labor shortage. And also it would have serious consequences on social aspect as well. For instance, young people, after graduation, how many of them are willing to take care of seniors and also working in a service industry and so on? So these figures are really alarming, which is pushing the government to do some more fundamental changes.
Right, but what's the major reason behind the population decline in South Korea?
I think there are a number of reasons, from financial instability to gender inequality in a family and also working culture. So overall, the financial burdens, I think, is a big factor here. A 2019 survey conducted by the Korean Institute for Health and Social Affairs pointed out, among married respondents, economic instability was the biggest reasons for not having a baby. Because when young people still cannot afford their own housing, which is about 70% of young people still living with their parents, they are unemployed or do not have stable income. Having a baby would only add more economic burden to their lives and lower their quality of life. And especially over the past year, we know the economic situation has worsened due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So the future is even more uncertain for many young people. When there are fewer jobs, poverty has risen, and along with the housing shortages, all of those would make Korean couples postpone their plans to start a family or having plans to have a baby. And
whereby the company decides what content they like and what doesn't. Daniel Baker, let's get again. Let's get I think that is the concern of the company like Shopify, which is hosted
build their career
controversial content since its inception and continues to do so for smaller, even smaller vendors. For example, they were criticized for hosting the shop of people affiliated with the Proud Boys. Now, the company has to toe the line between free speech and allowing what is perceived by the public to be merchandise that could lead to violence or to harassment or abuse. Investors certainly didn't mind what Shopify did. The stock was up 6.8%, $1,469. A big part of the reason why the TSX closed at an all-time high. TSX up 199 points, 18,027. Records all around on Wall Street as well. The Dow up 211 points, closing for the first time above 31,000. The S&P up 55 points, closing above 3,800. And the NASDAQ up more than 300 points to close above 13,000 for the first time. Canadian dollar up to 78.82 cents US. This is 680 News.
Does your credit card debt keep you up at night? I know mine did. Hi, I'm Adam, and 6 years ago, I was no different, so I started New Borrow. Our proven step-by-step system helps homeowners eliminate debt and save thousands, like Tina.
Now I sleep at night, my debts are paid off, and I only make one monthly payment.
Read hundreds of other 5-star Google reviews and apply today to start saving.
Use your home to get a loan with New Borrow. Visit newborrow.com. License 13115.
Your life has taken a bit of a break, but your dental health shouldn't. At Ultima Dental, our enhanced cleaning and sterilization protocols will help keep you safe at your appointment, while our team of professionals keep your oral and overall health in check. We also offer our patients a 0% interest payment plan, so you can get the treatment you need when you need it. Located across Ontario and the GTA, contact your local Ultima clinic or visit ultimadental.com to find a dental professional near you. Ultima Dental, care beyond your smile.
Now, 680 News regional weather conditions for Walmart.
New year, healthy you. Walmart knows wellness. If you need any advice on healthy choices this year, just ask your Walmart pharmacist. This message is brought to you by Pharmascience. In Brampton right now, we have a clear sky. It is -3. In Hamilton, clear and -1. For Niagara Falls this hour, just a few clouds and -3. In Newmarket right now, clear sky and -5. Right now in downtown Toronto, it is also clear, -1. Feels like -6. You're listening to CFTR 680 News. It's 7 o'clock.
Number one for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News, Toronto.
Here are James Monroe and Slajana to Memphis.
Good evening. It is Thursday, January 7th.
In for Slajana to Memphis, I'm Sarah Harris. Here's what's making news this hour.
Breaking news from Washington. CNN reporting one of the Capitol police officers injured in yesterday's riots has now died and the chief has quit.
Oh, good.
Concerned over rising COVID numbers, Ontario's Medical Officer of Health extends online learning for elementary school kids for at least 2 more weeks. Students won't be back in class until January 25th.
The government's decision to suspend in-person learning for an extra 2 weeks isn't sitting well with the head of the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario. He claims it leaves families and educators scrambling to plan.
The Mets make a big splash with a trade for a shortstop while training camps continue across the NHL. Sports at 15.
Record-breaking day all around. TSX, Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ have never been higher. Plus, the world has a new most wealthiest person. Who it is in business at 26.
680 News Time, 7:01.
Traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Michael. This report brought to you by 407 ETR. So northbound DVP still got this collision approaching Don Mills. 2 left lanes here are blocked. Tow trucks, emergency vehicles are on scene. It's backed up from Girard. Once you get beyond that collision, everything gets back up to speed. It was a little bit slow in the southbound lanes going past this, but it looks like everything is moving fine through here now. So that's the only problem on the DVP in either direction. Gardner, QEW looking good in both directions. Westbound Lakeshore, it was closed from Reese to Danlackey Way because of falling concrete. That has now reopened, so that is good news. Southbound Spadina ramp to westbound Lakeshore, it remains shut down as of now, but I'd imagine they will be reopening that shortly now that the road has reopened. Eastbound Dundas ramp to the North 427, it remains blocked. There's a transport truck here. Looks like they're adjusting the load. That's why they've blocked off the ramp. So again, eastbound Dundas, no access to the North 427. 401 in good shape in both directions across the GTA. A couple of issues on Steeles, Don Mills and Steeles. We have a collision. The southbound lanes of Don Mills are completely blocked at that intersection, though there are delays approaching that intersection in all directions. The collision is basically right in the middle of the intersection. And then police investigation at the intersection of Steeles and Weston. Steeles is closed in both directions from Weston to Signet for that investigation. The safety of drivers both on and off the road means everything to 407 ETR. That's why they've developed a COVID assistance program for those who need it most. Next report is at 7:11 with your forecast. Here's Natasha Ramsey.
It's a clear night tonight. Temperatures down to -9, wind chill -15 in the morning. Now it sounds cold, but we're actually back to seasonal. And tomorrow with that sunshine all day long, we'll have a northeast breeze up to 30 kilometers per hour. That's going to make our high of -3 feel like -9. Overnight tonight down to a low of -9 degrees.
Right now in downtown Toronto, we have a clear sky, -1, feels like -6. 680 News Time, 7:03.
With breaking news tonight from Washington, CNN's reporting a U.S. Capitol Police officer has died in the wake of yesterday's riots. The police officer now the 5th person to die as a result of the violence. 1 woman shot and killed by Capitol Police as the crowd breached the building. 3 others suffered medical emergencies that proved fatal.
And the chief of the Capitol Police is also resigning at the end of next week.
Chief Stephen Sund, the head of the U.S. Capitol Police, will resign effective January 16th in another consequence of Wednesday's breach of the Capitol by a mob of pro-Trump protesters. Sund admitted Capitol Police did not expect a violent attack. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called for Sund to step down, and a person familiar with the matter who spoke to the Associated Press confirmed his resignation. Sund is not alone. The chief security officer for the House of Representatives resigned Thursday, and Senator Chuck Schumer says he'll fire the Senate Sergeant-at-Arms when he assumes the role of Majority Leader. Mike Gracia, Washington.
This comes as calls to remove Donald Trump from office are growing louder today, including from the Speaker of the House.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi calling on Mike Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment and remove Donald Trump from office before his last 2 weeks are up.
In calling for this seditious act, the President has committed an unspeakable assault on our nation and our people.
She went on to say if the vice president does not act, Congress may move forward with another impeachment. Meantime, President-elect Joe Biden condemning Trump's last 4 years in office, saying he has made his contempt for the Constitution and the rule of law clear.
And I wish we could say we couldn't see it coming. But that isn't true. We could see it coming.
Several members of the Trump team have now resigned, including Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao, who's also the wife of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
I'm Caitlin Lee. 680 News Time, 7:05. This news segment brought to you by Prudent Financial. Southern Ontario students will continue to learn from home for at least 2 more weeks. This comes as Ontario reports a record 3,519 new cases of COVID-19. There were also 89 deaths, the most in a single day. More from 680's Momin Qureshi.
The province's chief medical officer of health knows this decision is going to be hard for a lot of people.
And I know this is a tough one. It's tough for everybody. And we know those parents have worked hard at this, and having the virtual learning is not easy.
But Dr. David Williams says because of the record highs we're seeing with the COVID-19 daily case count, plus the fact that 1 in 5 kids under 13 years old who were recently tested for the virus have come back positive. He says he's decided to delay the restart of in-class learning for another 2 weeks with the new target date of January 25th.
Because I definitely want to have in-class attendance in 2 weeks when we come out and we have the lockdown coming out.
High school students were already slated to return to class on January 25th as well. I'm Momin Qureshi.
So the head of the Elementary Teachers Federation, critical of the decision, 680's Phil Martino joins us live to tell us the Ford government's failure to contain COVID, in their opinion, has resulted in the need to extend remote learning. Phil.
James Sam Hammond, head of the Elementary Teachers Federation, calls the Ford government's decision to extend remote learning another last-minute decision that leaves families and educators scrambling to plan.
These decisions could have been made earlier. They leave it till the last minute. On every major decision, they leave it to the last minute. And they make these decisions, quite frankly, without any input or consultation with education stakeholders or education experts.
The Federation is calling on the government to take this extra time to implement the necessary measures to ensure a safe return to the in-person learning is possible, and that includes reducing class sizes and improving ventilation. Meantime, the Ontario English Catholic Teachers Association has released a statement that reads in part, once again, the Ford government has belatedly taken some steps toward catching up with what most Ontarians already realized in this case, that it makes no sense to reopen schools while the spread of COVID-19 appears to be out of control. Valentino, 680 News.
Ontario is telling hospitals to prepare for the transfer of potentially hundreds of patients across regions as unprecedented numbers of people getting sick with COVID-19 fill the province's beds. 680's Madison Fitzpatrick joins us live with more. Madison.
Yeah, good afternoon, Sarah. The president and CEO of Ontario's Health says no hospital should feel alone, and that's why they're implementing this transfer operation. The CBC reports all hospitals must be ready to accept patient transfers from other hospitals in and outside of their regions. Hospitals that have intensive care space available are told they must reserve 1/3 of those beds for transfers from hospitals that have maxed out their own ICU capacity. Now, to manage all of this movement, Ontario has created a COVID-19 critical care command center that will track transfers of ICU patients between hospitals. Reporting live, I'm Madison Fitzpatrick.
And we'll check gas next.
Your roof sprung a leak, water came through, shorted out the furnace, the radiator too.
If you need money now, I mean right now, Prudent Financial has been there for you since 1984.
If you need money in a hurry, PrudentFinancial.net. Get money quick, just one click. PrudentFinancial.net.
If you own your car or your home, get a loan. Borrow up to $75,000 in less than an hour. Self-employed, no proof of income, that's okay.
PrudentFinancial.net.
The Chesterfield Shop. Hi, Steve here from the Chesterfield Shop. My family has had the privilege of serving this great community since 1948, and I'm saddened to say that our famous in-store Boxing Week sale will be postponed for the first time in over 72 years. So why not go online or call us to set up a virtual appointment? We're worth the wait.
The Chesterfield Shop, your leather superstar.
Leather and fabric savings at thechesterfieldshop.com or call us 24/7.
Now, the 680 Newscast price update. No change at midnight.
Your employment rights with Lior Samfiru from employmentlawyer.ca.
COVID-19 has forced drastic employment changes on many Canadians in the form of layoffs, pay cuts, reduction in hours, demotions, and work relocation. What most employees don't realize is that your employer does not have a right to make significant changes to terms of employment without your consent. You don't have to accept these changes. Your employer is essentially terminating you, and you are owed full severance pay. I can help you get the severance package you are legally owed. My team has helped tens of thousands of employees get the compensation they deserve when changes are made to their job. Before you accept any changes, contact me and discover why my employment law firm is the most positively reviewed firm in Canada.
Contact employment lawyer Lior Samfiru today. Get the advice you need and the compensation you deserve. Visit employmentlawyer.ca. That's employmentlawyer.ca. 680 News Time, 7:11.
Traffic and weather together, Michael Ranger.
Still looking at this collision on the northbound DVP approaching Don Mills. Two left lanes are blocked. It is backed up from Girard on the northbound DVP. Once you get beyond that collision, then you're home free. It's all up to speed on the north DVP and the north 404. Southbound 404 onto the DVP is looking good as well. If you're driving into downtown, QE Gardner, eastbound and westbound, it is problem free. Everything is moving well there. We did have that issue westbound Lakeshore. It was closed from Reese to Dan Leckie Way. That is now cleared. It is reopened. The southbound Spadina ramp to westbound Lakeshore, that has reopened as well. Eastbound Dundas ramp to the northbound 427, it remains blocked. There's a transport truck that lost part of its load there. They are shifting and adjusting the load, so that is why they blocked off that ramp. Again, no access to the north 427 from eastbound Dundas. 401, it's looking good in both directions all the way across the GTA. All of your other major routes are up to speed as well. No issues on the 410 or the 400. A couple of issues on city streets, intersection of Don Mills and Steele. Southbound Don Mills is completely blocked off at that intersection right now. There's also lane restrictions for eastbound Steele. The collision is basically right in the middle of the intersection. We've got emergency vehicles on scene here, and Steele's is closed in both directions from Weston to Signet. This is for an ongoing police investigation. Your next traffic report is at 7:21 with your forecast. Here's Natasha Ramside.
-9 overnight tonight with clear skies, just a light northeast breeze. That'll pick up out of the northeast tomorrow up to 30 kilometers per hour. So we will have that wind chill of -15 in the morning, sunshine, and -3, feeling like -9 in the afternoon. We're going to increase the cloud on Friday night, so expect it to be a mix of sun and clouds Saturday with a high of 2 degrees, but staying dry. Tonight down to a low of -9.
Clear sky in downtown Toronto, -1. Feels like -6. Over at Pearson Airport, it's clear, -3. A wind chill of -8. 680 News Time, 7:12.
Another major U.S. airline says emotional support animals are no longer welcome.
Alaska Airlines did it first, then American, now Delta says emotional support animals of any kind are no longer allowed on its planes. Airlines have long struggled with which emotional support animals could be brought on free of charge and out of their carriers. People began bringing on animals like peacocks and would claim their pet dogs were emotional support animals just to avoid paying the pet fee and to take them out during the flight, but no more. Small dogs that remain in their carriers will still be allowed on board for a fee, and official service dogs will be allowed to board. Alex Stone, EBC News.
Every day, Canadians are buying homes and getting the wrong mortgage rates. Important announcement. If you have a home mortgage closing in the next 90 days, 1.38% 5-year fixed mortgage rates are available at butlermortgage.ca. No matter what you were told or what you signed, you can still switch to 1.38% 5-year fixed. No gimmicks, no fees. Standard mortgages at 1.38% 5-year fixed. To learn if you qualify, go to butlermortgage.ca now.
License number 12118, high ratio fixed rate APR of 1.39%.
From the little kid shooting hoops on the driveway with dad,
To elite athletes at the top of their game.
for anyone who has ever bounced, kicked, spiked, or thrown a ball,
The emptiness is palpable. But we will return to the field, the pitch, the stadium.
we'll feel the sun on our faces and team spirit in our hearts.
We'll collectively rise up and cheer, we did it.
And it will be a healthy planet again.
HealthyPlanetCanada.com.
This is All News Radio, 680 News.
Mostly clear skies in downtown Toronto, -3 at Pearson. Feels like -8. Good evening, I'm James Monroe.
And I'm Sarah Paris. Here are the top stories this hour.
The breaking news tonight from Washington, CNN reporting a U.S. Capitol police officer has now died in the wake of yesterday's riots. The officer now the 5th person to die as a result of the violence. And the chief of the Capitol Police also says he's quitting at the end of next week. Ontario's medical officer of health announcing that learning online for students will indeed be extended until at least January 25th. This comes as Ontario reports another daily record for cases, more than 3,500, a daily record for deaths at 89.
Time for 680 Sports.
From Sportsnet 590 with Van Brent Gunning.
Francisco Lindor is on his way to the Mets along with Carlos Carrasco. Going back to Cleveland is Ahmed Rosario, Andrew Jimenez, pitching prospect Josh Wolf, and outfielder Isaiah Green. Part of the reason the Mets made the big splash is they know this isn't just a rental, according to David Sampson.
They had conversations with Lindor's representatives and Lindor, I'm sure, about a long-term deal, because there is no way to make that trade for a one-year shot.
There is Sampson on writer's block, who adds that Lindor was not willing to sign a long-term deal with the Blue Jays, who did have interest in the shortstop. The Leafs and Senators will be able to play home games in the province of Ontario, and boy, that's a good thing, since the Leafs are scheduled to host Montreal on Wednesday night to start the NHL season. Before that, you can watch the Blue-White scrimmage on Saturday. Puck drop is set for 7 on Sportsnet. You can also listen on Sportsnet 5/9 The Fan. As always, you can find all the action as well on Sportsnet now. And another busy night in the NBA. The Nets will be shorthanded without both Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. They're at home to the 76ers. Tip-off is set for 15 minutes time. Sports at 15 and 45 past every hour or anytime at sportsnet.ca/590.
When it comes to attracting customers to your business, 680 News has been delivering the goods for decades. Just ask Frank Serpa of Serpa Automotive Group.
We've been advertising on 680 News since 1996. Because we sell various brands, starting from entry-level vehicles to supercars, 680 can provide me with every client for every brand, because 680 News has a lot of great listeners. Also, the other advertisers that are on 680 raise the credibility of our business.
Sounds like advertising on 680 News has been working wonders for Serpa Automotive.
When you advertise on 680 News, it's just like pushing the gas pedal on your car. It's instant performance, instant horsepower to your business. Every time it gets slow in the dealership, I ask my people, are we on 680 or what? It's getting slow over here. Let's get 680 on.
Get 680 News working for you. Call 680 News Advertising at 416-935-NEWS.
So following the chaos in Washington, security officials in Parliament Hill say they're routinely changing measures to address potential threats.
It's not uncommon following major security breaches that officials take a look at our situation and ask, are we prepared if it happens here? In a statement, the Parliamentary Protective Service tells me it's constantly monitoring threats, reviewing security plans, and making adjustments, adding they're ready to respond to any eventuality. Stephanie Carvin, a former government security analyst who teaches at Carleton University, tells me right-wing extremism has been on the rise, and authorities are also likely looking into groups here to see if they're planning any copycat attacks.
To figure out if there are serious threats to either Canadian politicians or political institutions.
She says a mass storming of Parliament may be unlikely, but smaller groups or lone wolves are a greater threat, like we saw with the Hill shooting in 2014 or the armed man who stormed Rideau Hall grounds in July. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
With breaking news from Washington, U.S. President Trump has just released another video. Let's listen in.
This attack on the United States Capitol. Like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem. I immediately deployed the National Guard and federal law enforcement to secure the building and expel the intruders. America is and must always be a nation of law and order. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy. To those who engaged in the acts of violence and destruction, you do not represent our country. And to those who broke the law, you will pay. We have just been through an intense election and emotions are high, but now tempers must be cooled and calm restored. We must get on with the business of America. My campaign vigorously pursued every legal avenue to contest the election results. My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote. In so doing, I was fighting to defend American democracy. I continue to strongly believe that we must reform our election laws to verify the identity and eligibility of all voters and to ensure faith and confidence in all future elections. Now Congress has certified the results. A new administration will be inaugurated on January 20th. My focus now turns to ensuring a smooth, orderly, and seamless transition of power. This moment calls for healing and reconciliation. 2020 has been a challenging time for our people. A menacing pandemic has upended the lives of our citizens, isolated millions in their homes, damaged our economy, and claimed countless lives. Defeating this pandemic and rebuilding the greatest economy on earth will require all of us working together. It will require a renewed emphasis on the civic values of patriotism, faith, charity, community, and family. We must revitalize the sacred bonds of love and loyalty that bind us together as one national family. To the citizens of our country, serving as your president has been the honor of my lifetime. And to all of my wonderful supporters, I know you are disappointed, but I also want you to know that our incredible journey is only just beginning. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
You've been listening into an extraordinary video posted by President Trump moments ago, effectively conceding the election, saying that he's outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem of yesterday's riots. He says a new administration will be inaugurated on January 20th, and serving as your president has been, in his words, the honor of a lifetime. This is
in life, the most important question anyone could ever ask is, will you marry me?
Not. Are we alone in the universe?
Well,
Or how did the brain name itself?
Okay, point taken. The most important question anyone could ask when they're in love and want to be with that person forever is, will you marry me? Make sure it's a yes. With Spence Diamonds, Canada's engagement destination, with thousands of rings to choose from. Spence Diamonds, open for virtual appointments and curbside pickup.
The Chesterfield Shop. Hi, it's Pam here from the Chesterfield Shop. Nothing is like a Chesterfield Shop in-store experience. But sadly, since this year we are temporarily closed, we'd love you to visit us online on our updated website or contact us for our virtual tour to make your home your castle.
The Chesterfield Shop, your leather superstar.
Go to thechesterfieldshop.com for more great Boxing Week savings. And please stay safe.
Traffic weather together, Michael Ranger.
This report brought to you by Sportsnet. Northbound DVP approaching Don Mills. Still have a collision here. 2 left lanes are blocked. It is backed up from Girard. We've also got some delays approaching Don Mills on the south side of the DVP just for that issue on the other side of the highway. The flashing lights forcing traffic to slow down there. Once you get beyond that issue on the northbound DVP, it is a good drive. Got this from a traffic spotter southbound 404 just south of Stouffville Road. There is a car fire there. Not sure about lane restrictions, but apparently it is a quite large fire. You can see it from kilometers away, so just be careful if you're driving southbound on the 404 through that area. Not seeing any significant delays right now. Gardner and QEW up to speed, so is the 401. Eastbound Dundas ramp to the northbound 427. It is blocked. There is a truck here. They are adjusting the load of a truck. There's cranes involved, so that's why they blocked the ramp. Intersection of Don Mills and Steele, southbound Don Mills blocked. Collision in the middle of that intersection. If you had the ability to stream the game from the bathroom, wouldn't you do it? Live stream sports with Sportsnet Now. Visit snnow.ca for details. Next report is at 7:31 with your forecast. Here's Natasha Ramsay.
Clear skies tonight, a light northeast breeze. Temperatures that we're waking up to, -9, feeling like -15 with that breeze. And the wind out of the northeast will pick up 20 to 30 kilometers per hour in the afternoon. But we are going to enjoy that sunshine tomorrow with a high of -3. Saturday morning's wind chill around -12. The afternoon is a mix of sun and cloud and a little milder at 2 degrees. And then Sunday, increasing cloud after a sunny start with a high of -1. Watching for some late day flurries returning. Tonight, we're dropping to a low of -9.
Mostly clear in downtown Toronto, -3 at Pearson. Feels like -8. Coming up the bottom of the hour. Breaking news from Washington. Moments ago, U.S. President Trump delivering what is essentially a concession speech. Says the new administration will be inaugurated on January 20th. This comes in the wake of news a U.S. Capitol Police officer has now died after being injured in yesterday's riots. This is 680 News.
Everybody's looking for a change right now, dreaming of being able to pay for upgrades or renovations without taking on that financial burden. Just think about it. We renovated 3 years ago, but it still feels like there's a million things I'd like to do today. A Flexi line by Capital Direct allows you to manage your resources more effectively. Whether you could use $50,000 or $1.5 million, that cash is available to you. Call Capital Direct today at 1-800-NEW-CAPITAL.
CapitalDirect.ca.
We're here with you until regular life resumes and after, giving you everything you need to know. Stay informed, stay safe. This is 680 News.
Coming up in 60 seconds, Richie's Wonderful World of Business, 680 News Time, 7:25.
If your furnace is broken, call Reliance Home Comfort 24/7 and we'll get there fast. Only Reliance has over 45,000 five-star reviews, so you can depend on us to put you first and take safety precautions. Need a great deal on a new one? Call now. Ask about our next day installation guarantee and get a $1,000 Visa gift card, plus a Google Nest thermostat when you buy a featured furnace. Need a great deal fast? Call Reliance. Conditions apply. Savings off our regular price. See website for details.
What happens when you sleep well? You train well. You focus well. You eat well. You play well. Whatever your New Year's resolution, it all starts with better sleep. And that begins at Sleep Country. The New Year, New You event is on now. Get great deals on all your sleep essentials like mattresses, bedding, and pillows. Our sleep experts are online at sleepcountry.ca to help you wake up to better sleep. Sleep well, stay well. Sleep Country.
City News Time, 7:26. Now 680 Business Reports. Richard Southern.
Good evening. It's a pretty sweet Thursday for many investors. Those long the market are loving it because the TSX, the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ all closed at record highs. It's been a while since the Toronto Composite Index notched a record, not since last February, as a matter of fact. But the TSX closed today above 18,000 points for the first time ever. It was up 200 points on the session. On Wall Street, the Dow was up 211 to close for the first time above 31,000. The S&P up 55 points, above 3,800, and the NASDAQ as well, closing for the first time above 13,000, up more than 300 points. The reason for this? Very much the political clarity in the United States, with the Democrats set to control all levels of government. Investors see that now as a sign that perhaps more fiscal and monetary stimulus is on the way. The price for gold higher, $1,914 the ounce. Well, get this, the world has a new most wealthiest person. It's Elon Musk, the Tesla and SpaceX founder, now has a net worth of $188.5 billion. That's about $1.5 billion more than Jeff Bezos, who Musk dethroned as the world's wealthiest person. A big jump in Tesla stock is what's boosted Musk's worth and made him worth more than the Amazon founder. Tesla shares today were up another 7.9% at $816 the share. Over the past year, Elon Musk's wealth has soared by more than $150 billion. That's believed to be the fastest wealth creation ever recorded in history. And it's because Tesla's stock price in the past year has jumped more than 740%. Of course, Musk went to Queen's University, so a little local connection there. Canadian dollar higher, 78.82 cents US. The top stories are next on 680 News.
And now, an important message from the Canadian Natural Defense. It's cold season, and this year, more than ever, we need to protect ourselves. The wellness experts at Adrian Gagnon bring you zinc and vitamin C to help immune function, and echinacea for effective relief of cold symptoms when taken at the first symptoms. And now, all three are available at Walmart. The products may not be right for you. Always read and follow the label.
Your life has taken a bit of a break, but your dental health shouldn't. At Ultima Dental, our enhanced cleaning and sterilization protocols will help keep you safe at your appointment, while our team of professionals keep your oral and overall health in check. We also offer our patients a 0% interest payment plan, so you can get the treatment you need when you need it. Located across Ontario and the GTA, contact your local Ultima clinic or visit ultimadental.com to find a dental professional near you. Ultima Dental, care beyond your smile.
Clear skies tonight and -4 overnight, clear -9 tomorrow morning, sunshine again. What a thing. -7 tomorrow afternoon, sunny and -3. Downtown Toronto right now, clear skies, -3, and it feels like -8. 680 News Time at the Double Tones will be 7:30.
Number one for news in Toronto. This is today's 680 News.
Here are Scott Burnett and Christine Ritchie.
Good evening. This is Thursday, January 7th.
Here's what's making news right now.
President Trump accepts his fate, finally conceding that he lost the election, denouncing yesterday's riots, and says there will be a peaceful transfer of power. His complete video message up next.
A couple more weeks in front of screens for younger kids. The province announces, due to concerns over rising COVID numbers, they've extended online learning for elementary school kids until January 25th.
The head of the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario says the government's decision to suspend in-person learning for an extra 2 weeks leaves families and educators scrambling to plan.
To help Ontario hospitals that have been heavily impacted by COVID-19, the province will begin load sharing and tells hospitals to prepare for the transfer of patients.
The Leafs continue to get ready for the start of their season. That's less than a week from today. And Francisco Lindor's on his way to New York. Sports at 45.
Never been higher. Record-breaking day for the TSX and for Wall Street. Plus, why Ottawa-based Shopify was in the spotlight. In business at 56.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Michael Ranger.
This report brought to you by Aaron Waxman and Associates. Northbound DVP, we still got this collision approaching Don Mills. 2 left lanes are blocked. Emergency vehicles are on scene. It is slow from Gerrard up to Don Mills where this collision is. Once you get beyond it, everything is up to speed. Southbound DVP approaching Don Mills, a little bit slow too. Traffic just slowing down because of the flashing lights on the other side of the highway. So there's no actual issue on the southbound DVP, but just with all the emergency vehicles there for that collision, it's a bit of a slowdown. Southbound 404, got a couple traffic spotters now calling in about this. Just south of Stouffville Road, we've got a vehicle fire here. 2 left lanes are blocked. It's just the single right lane getting by. Just minor slowdowns going past this. Luckily, roads are lightly traveled right now, so not causing a significant delay. Eastbound Gardner, approaching Kipling, right lane is blocked with a stalled vehicle. Same story there. Things are getting by pretty easily with the lighter traffic. Eastbound Dundas ramp to the northbound 427, it remains blocked. Transport truck lost part of its load there, so they're trying to get that back on the truck. There's cranes involved. That's why they blocked that ramp. Northbound and southbound here Ontario ramps to the west 407, they were closed for construction. They have now reopened. Intersection of Don Mills and Steele, southbound Don Mills is blocked as part of a collision. The collision happened right in the middle of the intersection. If your disability claim has been denied for any reason, call Aaron Waxman at 416-661-4878 or on your cell phone at pound LTD. Next report at 7:41 with your forecast. Here's Natasha Ramside.
Temperatures tonight down to -9, wind chill -15. It is clear skies tonight and clear all day long tomorrow. Lots of vitamin D, lots of sunshine. Northeast wind up to 30 kilometers per hour. We are looking for a high of -3 with a wind chill of -9. Overnight tonight, we're down to a low of -9, wind chill -15 by morning.
Right now in downtown Toronto, we've got a mostly clear sky, -3, though that wind chill making it feel like -8. 680 news time, 7:33.
Breaking news from the United States, where U.S. President Donald Trump has released a video on Twitter accepting Joe Biden's 2020 election win.
The 2.5-minute video released moments after his ban from Twitter was lifted. Here's what he had to say.
I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack on the United States Capitol. Like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, and mayhem. I immediately deployed the National Guard and federal law enforcement to secure the building and expel the intruders. America is and must always be a nation of law and order. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defiled the seat of American democracy. To those who engaged in the acts of violence and destruction, you do not represent our country. And to those who broke the law, you will pay. We have just been through an intense election and emotions are high. But now tempers must be cooled and calm restored. We must get on with the business of America. My campaign vigorously pursued every legal avenue to contest the election results. My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote. In so doing, I was fighting to defend American democracy. I continue to strongly believe that we must reform our election laws to verify the identity and eligibility of all voters, and to ensure faith and confidence in all future elections. Now Congress has certified the results. A new administration will be inaugurated on January 20th. My focus now turns to ensuring a smooth, orderly, and seamless transition of power. This moment calls for healing and reconciliation. 2020 has been a challenging time for our people. A menacing pandemic has upended the lives of our citizens, isolated millions in their homes, damaged our economy, and claimed countless lives. Defeating this pandemic and rebuilding the greatest economy on earth will require all of us working together. It will require a renewed emphasis on the civic values of patriotism, faith, charity, community, and family. We must revitalize the sacred bonds of love and loyalty that bind us together as one national family. To the citizens of our country, serving as your president has been the honor of my lifetime. And to all of my wonderful supporters, I know you are disappointed, but I also want you to know that our incredible journey is only just beginning. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
Joe Biden officially becomes president at his inauguration on January 20th.
And breaking news from Washington, CNN is reporting that a U.S. Capitol police officer has died while trying to fend off a mob of rioters at the Capitol building yesterday. The police officer is now the fifth person to die as a result of the day's violence. One woman was shot and killed by Capitol Police as the crowd breached the building, and three others suffered medical emergencies that proved fatal. The chief of the Capitol Police is also resigning at the end of next week. Meantime, a top politician in Washington is calling for the removal of Donald Trump from office following the violence yesterday. K680's Caitlin Lee reports.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi calling on Vice President Mike Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment and unseat the U.S. president.
A very dangerous person who should not continue in office. This is urgent. This is emergency of the highest magnitude.
Pelosi asking more Republicans to step up as well, saying if this falls through, Congress will pursue impeachment. President-elect Joe Biden also delivering a scathing critique of how the siege was handled, saying his granddaughter pointed out a double standard.
No one can tell me that if had been a group of Black Lives Matter protesting yesterday, they wouldn't have been treated very, very differently than the mob of thugs that stormed the Capitol.
Several members of Trump's team have resigned. Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao, the first member of cabinet to step down. She's also the wife of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. I'm Caitlin Lee.
Parents of kids in school will have to hang on a little longer. Students supposed to return to classrooms this Monday, but the province deciding today that remote learning in Southern Ontario schools will be extended. Here's 680's Momin Qureshi.
If you're the parent of an elementary school child who is doing in-class learning before winter break, the bottom line is they'll have to live through at least a couple more weeks of online learning before returning to class. Dr. David Williams, the province's chief medical officer of health, is the one that made the decision, citing rising COVID numbers and community spread as part of his reasoning. Williams was asked why he waited until late Thursday afternoon to announce this decision, once again leaving some parents scrambling.
The numbers are very disappointing. And so that's why we've held on as long as we could, because we had hoped we would be able to have some good messaging and say everybody back to class on Monday. We said for the North, it's okay. For the South and throughout the South, it's not looking good. And so we have to take some more time.
Elementary students are now slated to return to in-class learning on January 25th, the same day as high school students. I'm Momin Qureshi.
Province's health officials have been warning us for weeks that hospitals will soon not be able to handle the surge of new cases, and it's happening now, with word that Ontario is advising hospitals to get ready to transfer hundreds of patients out of regions worst hit by COVID-19. 680's Madison Fitzpatrick joins us live now with the details. Madison.
Yeah, Christine, well, the president and CEO of Ontario Health says we need to work at provincial system at a level that was never required before in order to provide the necessary care for COVID-19 and non-COVID-19 patients. 680 News obtained a memo stating hospitals that have intensive care space available are told they must reserve 1/3 of those beds for transfers from hospitals that have maxed out their own ICU capacity. And to manage all of this movement, Ontario has created a COVID-19 critical care command center that will track the transfers of ICU patients between hospitals. According to the memo, Ontario hospitals are projected to have more than 500 patients with COVID-19 in intensive care units and more than 1,700 COVID-19 hospitalizations in total by January 24th. Reporting live, I'm Allison Fitzpatrick.
Coming up in 30 seconds, a look at gas prices.
Since the dawn of time, humans have been pursuing food. First in open plains and lush forests, and later in the crowded aisles of grocery stores. Today, that pursuit is over. With good food, you can get delicious, ready-to-cook meals like caramelized onion-baked cheese tortellini delivered right to your home. Because some things are better left in the past. Good food, eating evolved. Visit makegoodfood.ca.
So,
now the 680 News gas price update. And predicts the price will not change at midnight, holding at 109.9 cents a liter at most GTA stations. Your traffic report up next.
Hi, I'm Adam,
Two people
founder
try to
of
steal a chip in the store
NewBorrow.com,
and
and
get
I
away with it.
started our company after I got
count that
fed
as
up with the mortgage loan process.
That's all I was trying to
Turns
do.
out I wasn't alone. Thousands of homeowners wanted help.
They went above and beyond to help me get a line of credit. It was amazing service.
They treated me like a valued client and outperformed anyone I spoke to. Want to lower your mortgage payments and save a little
One side of the fee works better than the other side.
Visit newborrow.com. License 13115.
Your life has taken a bit of a break, but your dental health shouldn't. At Ultima Dental, our enhanced cleaning and sterilization protocols will help keep you safe at your appointment, while our team of professionals keep your oral and overall health in check. We also offer our patients a 0% interest payment plan, so you can get the treatment you need when you need it. Located across Ontario and the GTA, contact your local Ultima clinic or visit ultimadental.com to find a dental professional near you. Ultima Dental, care beyond your smile.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Michael Ranger.
This report brought to you by Indigo. Good news on the northbound DVP's collision at Don Mills has just cleared. It was blocking the two left lanes. It is still backed up to Gerard. It just cleared right before the report. So hopefully things will get back up to speed here shortly. That's the only problem on the DVP in either direction now that the collision is gone. Southbound 404 south of Stouffville Road, vehicle fire. Two right lanes are blocked. It's just a single left lane getting by. Just minor delays going past. This roads are lightly traveled on the southbound 404 in that area. Eastbound Gardner approaching Kipling, right lane blocked here with the stalled vehicle. Same story. It's not causing any delays. We've got light traffic on the roads. Eastbound Dundas ramp to the northbound 427, it remains blocked off. A transport truck lost part of its load there, so they're cleaning that up. And then looking at the southbound 427, just got this from a traffic spotter, right where the ramp from the 401 joins the highway, two right lanes, there is a mattress and a box spring there. I've notified MTO, so they should be on their way to pick that up shortly. Inhale 2021, exhale 2020 during Indigo's wellness event. Save up to 25% on self-help books, fitness, and sleep essentials and more. Exclusions apply. Visit indigo.ca. Next report at 7:51 with your forecast. Here's Natasha Ramsay.
It's colder, but it's clear. And in fact, we're back to seasonal as we wake up to -9, wind chill -15. The afternoon, lots of sunshine, -3 degrees, wind chill -9, and a northeast wind up to 30 kilometers per hour. We're going to bring in a little bit more cloud for Saturday, a mix of sun and cloud, but staying dry with a high of 2 degrees. Tonight, we are down to a low of -9, wind chill -15.
Right now in downtown Toronto, we've got partly cloudy sky, mostly clear, but -3, feeling like -8. Similar conditions at Pearson. 680 news time, 7:44.
And coming up at 7:48, Premier Ford says Ontario still waiting for another shipment of vaccines.
We're going to get everyone vaccinated.
Details up next.
This is 680 News.
Being a new mom isn't easy, but hugging's easy. Loving's easy. And baby drops are easy too. Simply apply just one drop where baby feeds. There's no taste.
Oh,
That's
shit.
why
That
feel
was
safe.
stupid. I was only looking at this
Pediatricians
side.
recommend vitamin D daily for breastfed infants. Baby D drops the sunshine vitamin in just one drop.
I'm here with Bill Coy of Coy Brothers, and we're talking about snow angels.
Oh, you mean the folks who clear the snow? We love them.
So which commercial snowplow should these saints use, Bill?
They can trust snowplows to perform under pressure. The popular E100 power plow carries 30% more snow than a regular blade, with wings that expand from 8 to 10 feet with the push of a button.
Wings? SnowX plows really are a miracle.
Oh, brother.
SnowX at Coy Brothers.
KOOYBROS.com.
And don't forget to bring your wallet.
This is All News Radio, 680 News.
It's -1, feeling like -6 under a clear sky. Good evening. I'm Christine Richard.
I'm Scott Burnett. Here's the top stories right now.
U.S. President Donald Trump releases a video on Twitter tonight, finally accepting Joe Biden's 2020 election win. The 2.5-minute video was released moments after his ban from Twitter was lifted. Trump announced yesterday's riots. 5 people died yesterday in that riot. Joe Biden officially becomes president at his inauguration on January 20th. And parents of school-aged kids getting ready to do the scramble again today. The province announcing that students will not be returning to class on Monday in southern Ontario, instead returning to remote learning. It's being extended for at least another 2 weeks as Ontario sees a record-breaking day with more than 3,500 new COVID cases and 89 more deaths, the highest count so far in the pandemic. 680 News Time 746. Now 680 Sports from Sports.
Technically, I can still use one on my head since I don't breathe.
The Leafs will certainly look plenty different this year. That includes Austin Matthews moonlighting on the penalty kill.
We've seen so much in his growth as a defensive
How do you
player.
explain that to someone that doesn't speak English?
That he brings lots to the penalty kill.
There is Leafs head coach Sheldon Keefe, who stressed it won't be a full-time job for the two-time 40-goal scorer. Matthews and the Leafs start the season Wednesday at home against Montreal. That's after the Leafs and Sens both get the go-ahead to play home games from the Ontario government. But before that, there's the blue and white intra-squad scrimmage. That'll be Saturday. You can listen on Sportsnet 5/9 of the Fan or watch it on Sportsnet starting at 7. The Mets land Francisco Lindor in a blockbuster trade with Cleveland. Joining Lindor in New York is Carlos Carrasco. 4 players are headed back to Cleveland, including pitching prospect Josh Wolf. The trade, along with a possible extension, could take the Mets out of the running for George Springer or Trevor Bauer. And the PGA Tour's best are in Hawaii for the Century Tournament of Champions. Canadian Nick Taylor is one of 4 players who share the lead at 6 under. Sports at 15 and 45 past every hour or anytime at sportsnet.ca/590.
680 News Time 747.
Ciao, I'm Dominic Primucci. Next time you order, try our charcoal-infused pizza and enjoy a lighter and airier pizza experience. It may just become your new go-to favorite. Think Italian and taste the difference.
Joker, the meteor set to collide with our west coast in mere minutes. What do we do? Not to worry, Governor. I will simply fly around the Earth fast enough to reverse our polarity and turn back time. Took her away.
That's right, I have a
You've only taken 3 steps. Here I go. You're basically standing still. Can the toga help innocent citizens breathe easier? Probably not. Find out why at thetogaonline.ca.
680 News Time 748. Premier Doug Ford toured the second COVID-19 vaccination site at the University Health Network today. He says Ontario is on the verge of running out of its current supply and is waiting for the federal government to deliver its next shipment. Ford adds he's talked to CEOs of all of the province's hospitals and public health units, and they're pushing for more doses.
All these folks have been working around the clock for over 10 months, and we're going to get there, folks. We're going to get everyone vaccinated, and we'll be out there going full steam. So thank you for all your help. And that goes to all the hospitals and all the public health units right across this province. Very grateful.
And provincial health officials expect to receive another 80,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine each week through the end of this month. More than 72,600 vaccinations have been administered as of 8 o'clock last night. And in the wake of the storming of Capitol Hill in Washington, security officials in Ottawa signal they are prepared if anything similar happened here.
There are many lingering questions about what happened on Capitol Hill, but on Parliament Hill, the Parliamentary Protective Service tells me it's ready to respond to any eventuality. In a statement, the service tells me it's constantly monitoring threats, reviewing its security plans, and making adjustments accordingly. Stephanie Carmen, a former government security analyst who teaches at Carleton University, tells me authorities will also be looking to see if any copycat attacks are being planned here. However, it's unlikely we would see such a mob storming of the legislature.
That said, it doesn't take a large protest in order for serious acts of violence to occur.
She knows right-wing extremism was on the rise in Canada, and security had to be beefed up in July after an armed man stormed Rideau Hall looking for the Prime Minister, as well as after the Hill shooting in 2014. Cormac makes Winnie Parliament Hill.
Coming up, traffic and weather together on the ones, and health officials warning that every province in the country is seeing an alarming increase in new cases of COVID-19.
680 News Time, 750.
Scott McGilvery here. I've done hundreds of home renovations over the years, and I'm particularly careful about what I put under the floors. On my projects, I use DMX One Step 2.0. This easy-to-install underlayment has an air gap design that allows moisture to evaporate, and it doesn't require wood subfloors, which can be a food source for mold growth. DMX One Step can be used under most vinyl or laminate floors, so whatever you choose, you know your investment will be protected. DMX One Step 2.0. No mold, no cold. Find it at the Home Depot.
This winter, you have a choice between two extremes, staying in hibernation mode or enjoying X mode in a Subaru. X mode will have you taking on winter with extreme traction. Hibernation mode will have you taking on the street slopes afterwards. X mode to power through winter's toughest conditions and deep snow. Hibernation mode to power through a tub of ice cream and a family-sized pizza for breakfast. Choose your setting.
Bring on winter in a Subaru. Hurry now and contact your local Subaru dealer for a winter on bonus.
Oh, we got another post.
And we look at your drive. Here's Michael Ranger.
This report brought to you by TSC. So we had that collision on the northbound DVP approaching Don Mills. That has just cleared, so things are getting up to speed slowly through that stretch. Still slow from Baby Bloor up to Don Mills if you're on the northbound DVP, but hopefully those delays will go away because the rest of your major routes are looking good. There is a stalled vehicle on the eastbound Gardner approaching Camp Lane. It's in the left lane, but it is not causing any delays. Southbound 404 south of Stouffville Road, vehicle fire here. Two right lanes are blocked. Minor delays going past this. There's just a single left lane to get by, but again, it is lightly traveled on the south 404 through that area. Eastbound Dundas ramp to the north 427, it remains blocked. A transport truck lost a part of its load there. They're trying to clean that up. That's why the ramp is shut down. And the eastbound 401 ramp to the southbound 427, right where the ramp merges with the south 427, in the left lane, there's a mattress and a box spring on the road. MTO has been notified they're on their way to pick that up if they haven't already, but just be careful if you're using that ramp. Again, the rest of your major routes in good shape. Intersection of Don Mills and Steele has now reopened in all directions after a collision in the middle of that intersection. Help keep your air cleaner and healthier with the Ionic Pro Platinum Air Purifier available at TSC. Get it today and save over 40%. Shop tsc.ca. Today's shopping choice. Next report's at 8:01 with your forecast. Here's Natasha Ramsay.
Tonight we're down to low -9, morning wind chills -15, so bundle up for that in case you have to head out early to work. We are looking at sunshine all day long. That's going to put a smile on people's faces. Northeast wind up to 30 kilometers per hour, a high of -3. Saturday we're going to bring in a bit more cloud, a high of 2 degrees, so it is getting milder. But by Sunday, we're back to -1, increasing cloud. Watching for late day flurries on Sunday. That'll continue through the night. Tonight, we're down to a low of -9, wind chill -15.
Downtown Toronto right now, a clear sky, -1, feeling like -6, and at Pearson -3 and a clear sky, feeling like -8.
This extended forecast is brought to you by Bellier Brothers. Bellier Brothers, proudly installing Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. Save energy with a Train high-efficiency furnace. Visit BellierBrothers.com.
Do you have unfiled taxes? Are you overwhelmed?
Send less textiles to landfill by choosing well-made clothes for the fast fashion.
Don't know where to start? We do. Call Mark Feldstein Chartered Professional Accountants. We deal with this every day. It's never too late. Start sleeping at night. Call Mark Feldstein Chartered Professional Accountants now, or visit markfeldstein.ca. markfeldstein.ca.
Coming up at 8 o'clock, the latest on President Trump finally conceding he lost the election, releasing a 2-minute video on Twitter tonight saying there will be a peaceful transfer of power and denouncing the angry mob storming the Capitol building yesterday. The video released as House Speaker Nancy Pelosi calling the 25th Amendment be used to kick him out of office, and after reports of a Capitol building police officer dying after he tried to fend off yesterday's angry mob. The cop is the 5th person to die in yesterday's riots.
It's Frisco's birthday, and we're celebrating with big birthday bargains. Now until Wednesday, frozen chicken wings are more than half off. Just $4.88 for 1.2 kilos. Our birthday, your bargains. Frisco, lowering food prices. See flyer at Frisco.com for details.
The Ford government has extended the province-wide shutdown in Northern Ontario. Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. David Williams, says every part of the province is seeing case increases at an alarming rate.
And as you recall, when we announced the lockdown, we were going to consider reviewing in Northern Ontario and whether we would have them come out of lockdown after 2 weeks, which would be this weekend, where they had a whole bunch in green. Now there's only one left in green. And there's one of our smaller ones is in the second week in the red zone. So their numbers have gone up. We had a teleconference and consultation with the 7 Northern Medical Officer Health, and all were adamant they need to stay in lockdown.
Dr. Williams says all local political officials in the north also agree. And while most Ontario students and teachers are being kept out of classrooms, not all of the school buildings are empty. Several GTA education workers have reached out to 680 News to say they still have to go to work because they work with special needs children. A spokesperson for the Toronto District School Board says when the Ford government announced the closure before the holidays, it required boards to make provisions for continued in-person support for students with special education needs who cannot be accommodated through remote learning or for whom remote learning is challenging. Your business report up next.
Your roof sprung a leak, water came through, shorted out the furnace, the radiator too.
When stuff happens and you need money now, I mean right now, go to prudentfinancial.net.
If you need money in a hurry, prudentfinancial.net.
hot water heater.
Get money quick, just one click. Prudentfinancial.net.
Car or homeowners get approved in less than an hour. Borrow up to $75,000, even if you're self-employed or have no proof of income.
Prudentfinancial.net.
Now the business report. Here's Richard Selling.
Good evening. Ottawa-based Shopify waded into the controversy surrounding U.S. President Trump. Now, Shopify is an e-commerce company. They help millions of merchants sell products online. And Shopify, what it's done now is remove sites affiliated with Trump for violating the policy against violence that it has. And this includes taking down Trump's site that sells his merchandise, including his mega hats. But does this set a dangerous precedent whereby the company decides what content it likes and what it doesn't? Daniel Bader is tech analyst at Android Central.
I think that is the concern with a company like Shopify, which has hosted controversial content since its inception and continues to do so for smaller vendors. For example, they were criticized for hosting the shop of people affiliated with the Proud Boys. Now, the company has to toe the line between free speech and allowing what is perceived by the public to be merchandise that could lead to violence or to harassment or abuse.
Investors certainly didn't mind what Shopify did. The stock was up 6.8%, $1,469. A big part of the reason why the TSX closed at an all-time high. TSX up 199 points, 18,027. Records all around on Wall Street as well. The Dow up 211 points, closing for the first time above 31,000. The S&P up 55 points, closing above 3,800. And the NASDAQ up more than 300 points to close above 13,000. Canadian dollar off to 78.82 cents US. This is 680 News.
I also have a late dinner. I'm always worried if they will suddenly close the restaurant while I'm eating. And plus, I may want to come back another day late. So what's the Chinese for how late are you open until?
Well, Cam, it's not very good for your health. Anyway, it's 你们几点关门?
你们几点
How about
关
when you
门？
close? When you
你们
close?
means you.
你们
几点? What time?
几点
Yeah, what time you close? What time you
关门
close?
Normally it means close the door, but
Sometimes
here
I
it
get
has
right
a
now.
special meaning of closed.
关门 closed.
So how late are you open until is 你们几点关门？
你们几点关门？服务员，你们几点关门？
晚上10点。
服务员，买单。
好的，
多少钱？
一共20块。Keywords reminder. Excuse me, can I get the bill? 服务员，买单。How much is it? 多少钱 Can I get the receipt? 开张发票。How late are you open until? 你们几点关门 Welcome. Now I'm sure that you know how to speak Chinese when you are in a restaurant. It has been a busy 2 weeks of learning for you.
Yes, it sure has, Daniel. And that brings us to the question of the day. How do you say, how late are you open until in Chinese?
明天见。
再见。
Throwing dirt, but still eat
Your China Plus Radio, connecting you with China and the world.
I don't know when to catch the
The following program is a recording of a live broadcast transmitted 7 a.m. Beijing time, examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday.
Now here's your host, Shane Bigham, with you on this Friday, January the 8th, 2021. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, live from the Chinese capital. On today's program, the U.S. Congress has certified President-elect Joe Biden's victory in the 2020 election. Authorities say the recent clusters of COVID-19 in Beijing are under control.
The risk of imported cases always exists. We shall stay vigilant, pay close attention to the trend of the epidemic.
Much of China continues to cope with some of the coldest temperatures recorded in years. In business, huge gains on the market for a popular Chinese video sharing platform. In sports, the 2023 AFC Asian Cup in China. In culture and entertainment, music events in the US and the UK are being postponed or canceled because of the pandemic.
Shut up.
So now today's top stories. The U.S. Congress has certified President-elect Joe Biden's victory in the 2020 election. In declaring the final vote totals, Vice President Mike Pence certified the Electoral College count of 306 votes in favor of Biden against 232 in favor of outgoing President Donald Trump. It takes at least 270 electoral votes to win the White House. Biden also won the popular vote by more than 7 million ballots. The announcement came hours after Trump supporters stormed the Capitol, which led to 4 deaths and dozens of arrests. The latest on this, Guanghao spoke with Jagruti Dave in Washington, D.C.
The White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany is giving an address at the White House. At the moment, crews have erected a perimeter around the Capitol. That happened in the morning.
Now, after the fact. You guys.
Fence that's going to be in place for at least a minimum of 30 days. We've had DC police saying that they've arrested at least 79 people as of Tuesday afternoon, and they've also identified the 3 people who died in the riots, which has been attributed to medical emergencies. The incident yesterday has been called domestic terrorism by President-elect Joe Biden, and there's been a spate of high-profile resignations, including the Transport Secretary, who's the first cabinet minister to have done so. That's Elaine Chao.
There have been calls for the cabinet to invoke the 25th Amendment to force Donald Trump from office. What are the possibilities of that happening?
Yeah, well, there's lots of things at play. We've got Democrats in Congress who have said they want Vice President Mike Pence to take the helm and stop President Trump from being in office. Former National Security Advisor John Kelly said to CNN that the cabinet should meet to invoke the 25th, and if there was a vote then to remove Trump and he was still in the cabinet, then he would vote for it. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said that if President Trump isn't removed under the 25th, then Congress could start impeachment processes. The problem with the 25th is that it invokes when a president is unable to discharge powers and duties of his office. It hasn't been used other than briefly for medical reasons. But both Pence and the cabinet would have to back it. President Trump can object, but it would need to be overruled by Pence and the cabinet, and Congress would need a majority vote to make it happen. We're not sure if there's either the votes or the timings for this to happen. There's still lawmakers in the House and some in the Senate supporting the president's challenges, even though a lot of Republicans have come out condemning what happened yesterday and saying that President Trump bears responsibility for what happened. We're also hearing that a DC prosecutor saying that President Trump's comments before the riots could be included in their investigations. And the New York Times is reporting that President Trump has discussed with aides the possibility of pardoning himself.
Joe Biden's victory has been certified. What obstacles may he still face in the run-up to Inauguration Day on the 20th?
Well, the city is in high alert to prevent such obstacles. The DC National Guard will be placed on, it is going to be in place for 30 days to make sure that they're around for the inauguration. We've got governors of Virginia, Maryland, and New York who are sending in reinforcements. Investigations are underway to find out exactly how the Capitol was breached. And we've got a report in Politico that says that Mike Pence is planning to attend the inauguration to signal his support of a peaceful transition.
That was Chigurhi Deve in Washington, D.C., reporting on the situation following the violence on Capitol Hill and the certification of Joe Biden's presidential election win. Many world leaders have condemned the storming of the U.S. Capitol by President Donald Trump's supporters. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says Trump was wrong to encourage his supporters to storm the Capitol.
And
insofar as the president consistently has cast doubt on the outcome of a free and fair election, I believe that was completely wrong. I think what the President Trump has been saying about that has been completely wrong, and I unreservedly condemn encouraging people to behave in the disgraceful way that they did in the Capitol.
Hundreds of Trump supporters stormed the Capitol on Wednesday, delaying the certification of Democratic President-elect Joe Biden's victory. The assault on the Capitol is a stunning turn of events as Trump and his supporters refused to accept his defeat in the November 3rd election. German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier called the scenes at the U.S. Capitol a disgrace and an attack on democracy.
Diese Szenen, die wir gesehen haben, die sind das Ergebnis von Lügen.
The scenes we have seen are as a result of lies and more lies, and dividing and contempt for democracy, of hatred and hate speech from the very top. This is a historical turning point for the United States, and it's an attack on democracy.
Police say one person was shot dead. 3 others died from medical emergencies during the chaos. Police also say they arrested 52 people who were part of the attack on the U.S. Capitol.
That's insane.
Facebook says it'll bar President Donald Trump from posting on its system at least until the inauguration of President-elect Joe Biden. Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg says Trump's account will be locked for at least the next 2 weeks. It could remain locked indefinitely. Twitter and Instagram have also temporarily locked Trump's accounts after he's repeatedly claimed election fraud. At 7 minutes past the hour, Botswana in southern Africa is the latest country to join China's Belt and Road Initiative. The Chinese foreign minister signed an agreement on his trip to the country. Gao Junia has details.
Botswana is the third leg of Wang Yi's trip to Africa. The top Chinese diplomat and his counterpart, Lemon Gangkwape, signed the MOU after talks in Gaborone. Botswana is the 46th BRI partner country in Africa. President Mokgweetsi Masisi says the MOU will provide new impetus for cooperation between the two countries. He's calling for more bilateral cooperation in industrial parks, the digital economy, scientific and technological innovation, and other fields.
I would like to be
the leader says Botswana is ready to strengthen party-to-party and people-to-people exchanges with China. Wang Yi has now arrived in Tanzania.
is due to hold talks with Tanzanian President John Magufuli. For the Beijing Hour, this is Gao Junyan.
Coming up, more COVID cases reported in the capital of Hebei province.
South Africa is now battling a new variant of the coronavirus, and Gao Junyan reporting from Harare, Zimbabwe.
Ms. von der Leyen warned that until a sufficient portion of Europe's 450 million person population are protected, for the Beijing Hour, I'm Benji Haya in Brussels.
As the deal was announced, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson visited Slim Town in London.
Statistics show that the number of people battling depression in Sweden tends to pay Stockholm.
Efforts are underway across the United States to make polling stations finally in Denslow in England.
Stay up to date with the latest headlines and everything China-related.
For the Beijing Hour, I'm Fu Yu.
I'm Shen Ting.
This is Fei Fei.
I'm Shai.
Everything in focus, all in one package. The Beijing Hour.
We're at 9 minutes past the hour. The city of Shijiazhuang reported 11 more COVID-19 cases yesterday in its ongoing citywide nucleic acid testing. The city is facing China's biggest coronavirus outbreak in months, with more than 100 cases reported. Authorities have collected samples from over 6.1 million people, with over one-third already sent for testing. All personnel and vehicles in the city are not allowed to leave the region due to the outbreak. Authorities say the recent clusters of COVID-19 in Beijing are under control, but officials are warning that pandemic prevention and control measures should be strengthened.
The risk of imported cases always exists. We shall stay vigilant, pay close attention to the trend of the epidemic, and strictly implement various measures to prevent imports from abroad and resurgence at home.
Since late last month, the city has reported dozens of local, confirmed, and asymptomatic cases. Authorities are calling for greater efforts to strengthen control measures in rural areas and monitor the development of the global pandemic. More than 300 COVID-19 vaccine vials per minute can be packaged on a fully automated production line at Chinese production plants. Juju takes a look at how the vaccines are being produced in China.
To increase the production rate, many new techniques and facilities have been put into use. A light inspection machine can detect whether the vaccine liquid is turbid and has foreign matter, whether the filling volume meets the standard, and whether the glass package is scratched. Its inspection rate is dozens of times that of manual detection. The inspections include examining the protein and aluminum quality in the semi-finished products and the antigen proportion in the newly produced vaccines. The water used in the production is not ordinary water, but rather processed water that has undergone multiple tests. Zhang Jing with the Beijing Institute of Biological Products, which produces the AstraZeneca vaccine, says the company can produce over 120 million doses of vaccines per year.
Our production line operates 24 hours a day in 2 shifts. Many of us have sacrificed our rest time. We didn't stop production during New Year's Day, nor will we during the approaching Spring Festival holiday. We will continue full steam ahead to meet the country's need for pandemic prevention. We hope our products can go on the market in more places.
He adds that another new production plant has already been built and is now being tested. Once put into operation, it will have an annual production capacity of 1 billion doses. Yang Xiaoming from another vaccine manufacturer says all the information about the vaccines can be monitored with
each vaccine has a scan code, which is like the ID card. You can check the vaccine's production procedure and who has taken it after scanning the code.
Experts say the vaccines in production should protect against the COVID-19 variant that was recently discovered. They can be preserved up to 3 years within a temperature range of 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. For the Beijing Hour, I'm Zhu Zhu.
Officials in Sao Paulo say the COVID-19 vaccine developed by China's Sinovac is 78% effective. They made the announcement following a late-stage trial in Brazil.
The vaccine is between 78% to 100% effective against COVID-19, according to studies in Brazil. This result means that the vaccine has a high grade of efficiency and effectiveness in protecting Brazilian lives against COVID-19.
Results come after Turkish researchers said last month the vaccine showed over 91% efficacy based on interim data. Although its efficacy trails the rate of vaccines from Moderna or Pfizer and BioNTech, experts suggest it's easier to transport and can be stored at normal refrigerator temperatures. Brazil and Indonesia are preparing to roll out the vaccine this month. Turkey, Chile, Singapore, Ukraine, and Thailand have also struck supply deals with the Chinese developer. The British government says the decision to delay second doses of COVID-19 vaccine will help save lives with more people receiving first shots. Defending the policy shift, Health Minister Matt Hancock says partial protection for more people will do more good than full protection for a select few.
The data show that there is a significant protection from both the Oxford and the Pfizer jabs after the first dose. And once you know that's true, then given we have as much supply as we have coming into the country and being manufactured in the country of the two doses, you want to use that as effectively as possible to save lives.
The government announced last Wednesday that it was shifting its vaccination policy to delay the period between giving the two doses. However, some scientists have expressed doubts about the decision to alter proven dosing regimens. So far, 1.3 million doses have been administered in the whole of the United Kingdom. Hancock says that coronavirus vaccinations and testing will be carried out well into 2022. The World Health Organization is urging European countries rolling out the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine to be flexible on the timing of the doses. Some countries, including Britain, are delaying the gap between the first and second dose by up to 12 weeks due to low vaccine supplies. WHO Regional Director for Europe, Hans Kluge, says it's important to strike a balance between making the most of limited supplies and protecting as many people as possible.
It is important that such a decision represents a safe compromise between the limited global production capacity at the moment and the imperative for governments to protect as many people as possible while reducing the burden of any subsequent wave on the health systems.
The move to prolong the gap between the first and second dose has generated fierce debate among scientists. Pfizer and BioNTech have warned they have no evidence their vaccine will continue to protect against COVID-19 if the second dose is given more than 21 days after the first one. The European Union has secured 200 million doses of the vaccine and has an option for another 100 million. Japan's declared a limited state of emergency in Tokyo and 3 neighboring prefectures to stem the spread of the coronavirus. Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga.
The situation has become very severe. The infection cases has exceeded 2,400. We have a strong sense of crisis. On this situation, we decided to declare
the interpreter is so calm, but you can hear the guy yelling in the background.
Stop the further spread of infection by any means and turn the tide around the coronavirus infection.
The 1-month emergency will run until February the 7th in Tokyo, as well as in Saitama, Kanagawa, and Chiba prefectures, covering roughly 30% of the country's population. Restrictions will center on combating transmission in bars and restaurants. The emergency measures include asking restaurants and bars to close by 8 p.m. Residents are asked to refrain from non-urgent outings, to keep working from home, and to limit crowds of sports and other big events to 5,000 people. A Japanese director is being congratulated for his documentary about China's fight against the novel coronavirus. Tu Yoon has more.
The Post-Pandemic Era by Takeuchi Ryo mainly focuses on China's efforts in preventing and controlling the spread of COVID-19, as well as the resumption of work and production. The director says he hopes this new work can help some people discard their bias on China concerning the pandemic.
I will continue to produce more works since misunderstandings from some people still remain. As a foreigner living in China, I feel sad that a lot of people are still taking a distorted view of Wuhan. I hope that I can continue to convey the real facts about the city to the world.
The new documentary includes the application of automation that helps China fend off COVID-19, because it can help people complete tasks without making contact. It also introduces the containment measures against the pandemic by a factory of Chinese tech firm Lenovo in Wuhan, the city once hardest hit by the virus. Takeuchi Liu says he hopes firms from other countries can learn from Lenovo's Wuhan factory if they want to see a decrease in infection rate.
More than 13,000 people are employed in the factory. Although such a huge number of people are working together in factory, no infection has ever occurred, which is really awesome. I was surprised that the factory continued its strict containment measures, even though the outbreak in Wuhan has been brought under control, including maintaining social distancing when dining in the canteen. The factory also uses the health code system and big data technologies to curb the spread of the virus, which is worth learning.
Netizens from both China and around the world have given positive comments and support for China's anti-pandemic efforts after watching the documentary. Some people in China who have watched it say the work reflects the joint efforts by the 1.4 billion people across the country to contain the virus, while those in Japan say China's development is so rapid that it's difficult for them to keep pace.
Damn it.
Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hua Chunying has also expressed her appreciation, saying the work faithfully reports China's achievements in containing COVID-19, resuming work and production without bias.
We hope that more Japanese media and members of the press from other countries could report China not only with their eyes, but also with their heart and feelings to present a true, objective, developing in multi-dimensions, progressive and friendly China to people of all countries, so as to constantly enhance mutual understanding, trust and friendship between the Chinese people and people of other countries.
Despite voices challenging the authenticity of the documentary and the feasibility of China, Liu says he only tells the truth and will continue his career no matter what comments he may receive. The director rose to fame in China last year after releasing 2 documentaries about the lives of the Chinese people during the COVID-19 pandemic and how they responded to it. For the Beijing Hour, I'm Tu Yan.
Coming up, much of China is dealing with freezing weather.
History is made up of stories. Put down that lengthy book spanning thousands of years and instead follow the Makers and Shakers of Chinese History podcast, which presents the biographies of 20 sources of ancient China. Meet the most renowned ancient Chinese rulers, ministers, thinkers, scientists, poets, and rebels, and find out how they continue to influence the Chinese to this day. Subscribe to Makers and Shakers of Chinese History for free on your favorite podcast app.
It's 21 minutes past the hour. Authorities across China are taking steps to cope with a rare cold wave that's brought extremely low temperatures and strong winds. Zhou Feng has more.
Many places across China have begun the year on a freezing note. A strong cold wave sweeping across the northern and eastern parts of the country has resulted in temperatures plummeting sharply. In Beijing, the highest daytime temperature has been hovering around minus 10 degrees Celsius. On Thursday, the capital experienced its coldest morning since 1966, with the temperature falling to minus 19.6 degrees Celsius.
I haven't felt a cold wave like this for years. It's particularly cold this year.
Indeed, low temperatures like this are very rare. I might have experienced it when I was little. It hasn't happened in all these years.
For days, the lowest temperature has been minus 30 degrees Celsius in Botala, Mongol Autonomous Prefecture in Xinjiang. To make sure residents can stay warm, the largest heat supplier in the prefecture has had all its boilers, including backups, working at full capacity. Yang Jianbin is the head of a local heating company.
We check the boilers once an hour now instead of every 2 hours. The heat exchanger stations are also checked every 3 days instead of once a week.
This year's severe cold wave and dramatic temperature drop has also hit the eastern province of Jiangsu. The Public Transport Department has intensified efforts to cope with the heavy snow and slippery roads. A bus driver introduces the measures that are being taken.
These grass mats are used on the frozen ground. These lamps are used for defrosting the mist on the front window shield. These chains are used on the wheels to increase friction and prevent the buses from side slipping.
Multiple provinces have seen a rapid surge in electricity demand due to the freezing weather. Authorities in these regions have stepped up inspection of the equipment. Emergency response teams are working around the clock to ensure a safe and stable operation of the power grid. The National Meteorological Center says temperature drops of up to 10 degrees Celsius will continue in the provinces of Jiangsu, Jiangxi, and Fujian in the coming days, with parts of Inner Mongolia set to record temperatures as low as minus 44 degrees Celsius. For the Beijing Hour, this is Zhou Fang.
A nationwide carbon emission trading scheme has been rolled out in China where companies can buy or sell their emission permits. Fei Fei has more.
At one auction in Guangdong, 4 villages traded off more than 9,000 tons of carbon dioxide and received 350,000 yuan in total.
Our villagers can actually benefit from forestry in this way.
I'm so happy. They are trading at an exchange center in Guangzhou for carbon emissions. The villages traded off their carbon rights with companies that need more emission credits as part of a trial program. Li Gao from China's Ministry of Ecology and Environment explains how it works.
If one company emits more than their allowance, it can either figure out how to cut emissions or pay other companies for their unused permits. We've also put a cap on how much companies can trade. Trading aims to help them reduce costs on emission management, but it shouldn't be the only solution.
Chinese authorities recently published pilot rules on a national carbon emission trading scheme. The rules that go into effect next month will allow firms that emit 26,000 tons of carbon dioxide or more a year to trade. Li Gao says they have also allocated allowances for carbon emissions to over 2,000 companies from the power generation industry. They can then trade during the first compliance cycle of the national carbon market running throughout this year.
There are 2 reasons why we have chosen the power generation sector to carry out carbon emission trading. One is that the sector accounts for a high emission proportion, so it is relatively highly influential. The other reason is that the power generation sector has a good data basis.
Li notes the market is also the first attempt at a national level to control industrial carbon emissions that puts the responsibilities of reducing carbon emissions onto companies. China has piloted carbon trading at regional levels for almost a decade. 2011 saw the establishment of 7 regional carbon trading markets in Beijing, Shenzhen, and more. Over 20 major polluting sectors, such as power, steel, and cement, have traded a total of 430 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent by last November. Ecology and Environment Minister Huang Renqiu says trading of carbon emission is part of the efforts to achieve the country's goal.
We have already initiated work on formulating an action plan for peaking carbon dioxide emissions. We will speed up the pace of our work, adopt more vigorous measures to control the consumption of fossil energy, and encourage non-fossil energy production.
China has vowed to hit peak carbon emissions before 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality by 2060. For the Beijing Hour, this is Fei Fei.
China says its Tianwen-1 probe is due to enter Mars orbit on February the 10th. So far, it's traveled over 400 million kilometers after 163 days in space. The distance between Mars and Earth varies from roughly 50 million kilometers to over 400 million kilometers. When the probe approaches Mars, it'll be 190 million kilometers away from Earth. We're at 28 minutes past the hour. Checking the forecast before we go to the break. In Beijing, getting sunny skies today. The high's -3 Celsius. It'll be down to -10 tonight. Chongqing will be cloudy and 5, then down to +3. Lhasa sunny and 15, a low of -4. Hong Kong's getting clouds and 13 degrees, and then it's down to 7. In North America, Washington, D.C. will be overcast on Friday and +3 Celsius. New York City's overcast and 6. In Africa, Nairobi is getting a slight rain and 27 degrees. And finally to Oceania, Port Vila's getting a slight rain, and 29 degrees Celsius. It's time for a short break. So far this hour, the U.S. Congress has certified President-elect Joe Biden's victory in the 2020 election. Authorities say the recent clusters of COVID-19 in Beijing are under control, and much of China continues to cope with some of the coldest temperatures recorded in recent years. Shane Bigham with you. Stay with us here on the Beijing Hour.
You still have guys shoveling coal into boilers?
Join the most popular Chinese language learning page on Facebook by searching for CRI Learn Chinese. It's a quick yet fun way to achieve your language goals. Start your free lessons now with unlimited videos, photos, and text tutorials on expressions in Chinese culture. CRI Learn Chinese Facebook page. The world opens with 你好.
The Beijing Hour. The Beijing Hour. The Beijing Hour brings you an hour of comprehensive news and information from both China and the rest of the world. A mix of news, sports, and entertainment. In-depth analysis of the day's big stories, as well as the most comprehensive business of the day. The Beijing Hour. Your very own window to China and the rest of the world.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday.
Now here's Shane Bigham with you on this Friday morning. Still to come in business, huge gains on the market for a popular Chinese video sharing platform. In sports, the 2023 AFC Asian Cup in China. In culture and entertainment, music events in the US and the UK are being postponed or canceled because of the pandemic. There are a number of ways to contact us. You can talk to us on Twitter at China Plus News or log on to Facebook, China Plus News, for more news, videos, and analysis. Now today's headlines. Botswana in southern Africa is the latest country to join China's Belt and Road Initiative. The Chinese foreign minister signed an agreement on his trip to the country when he's now arrived in Tanzania, and he's due to hold talks with the Tanzanian president. A growing number of Trump administration officials have announced their resignations following the violence in the Capitol. Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao is the first cabinet secretary to announce her departure after the events.
I want to thank you for getting this country moving again and also working again.
Chao says her resignation will take effect on months before Trump is set to leave office. Meanwhile, former acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney has resigned his post as Special Envoy to Northern Ireland.
And I wouldn't be surprised to see more of my friends resign over the course of the next 24 to 48 hours. It'd be completely understandable if they did. If those of those who would choose to stay, and I have talked to a couple of them, are choosing to stay because they are concerned that the president might put someone in to replace them that could make things even worse. So I'm not condemning those who choose not to resign. I understand that, but I can't stay here.
He served as acting White House Chief of Staff from January of 2019 until March of 2020. The city of Shijiazhuang reported 11 more COVID-19 cases yesterday in its ongoing cities of testing. The city is facing China's biggest coronavirus outbreak in months, with more than 100 cases reported over the past few days. Authorities have collected samples from over 6.1 million people, with over 1/3 of them already sent for testing. All personnel and vehicles in the city are not allowed to leave the region due to that outbreak. Authorities say the recent clusters of COVID-19 in Beijing are under control, but officials are warning that pandemic prevention and control measures should be strengthened.
The risk of imported cases always exists. We shall stay vigilant, pay close attention to the trend of the epidemic, and strictly implement various measures to prevent imports from abroad and the resurgence at home.
Since late last month, the city has reported dozens of local confirmed and asymptomatic cases. Authorities are calling for greater efforts to strengthen control measures in rural areas and monitor the development of the global pandemic. The World Health Organization is urging European countries rolling out the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine to be flexible on the timing of the doses. Some countries, including Britain, are delaying the gap between the first and second dose by up to 12 weeks due to low vaccine supplies. WHO Regional Director for Europe, Hans Kluge, says it's important to strike a balance between making the most of limited supplies and protecting as many people as possible.
It is important that such a decision represents a safe compromise between the limited global production capacity at the moment and the imperative for governments to protect as many people as possible while reducing the burden of any subsequent wave on the health systems.
The gap between the first and second doses generated fierce debate among scientists. Pfizer and BioNTech have warned that they have no evidence their vaccine will continue to protect against COVID-19 if the second dose is given more than 21 days after the first one. The European Union secured 200 million doses of the vaccine and has an option for another 100 million. China says its Tianwen-1 probe is due to enter Mars orbit on February the 10th. So far, it's traveled over 400 million kilometers after 163 days in space. The distance between Mars and Earth varies from roughly 50 million kilometers to over 400 million kilometers. When the probe approaches Mars, it'll be 190 million kilometers away from Earth.
If you're driving that way, just so you know.
The Central Bank of Iran says the country's income from crude oil exports was less than 20 billion US dollars in 2020. The bank's governor says crude exports were affected by US sanctions during the past year. CBI Governor Abdul Nasser Hamadi says Iran had restricted access to its funds abroad from crude exports during the same period. Despite the restrictions, the country's central bank says Iran's economy did not face serious challenges. The bank's governor expressed hope that Iran's currency will gain value in the upcoming months through more oil exports. Elon Musk has become the world's richest person. According to Bloomberg Billionaire Index, the founder of SpaceX and Tesla was worth more than 188 billion US dollars as of Thursday morning, $1.5 billion more than Amazon's CEO Jeff Bezos, who had held the world's wealthiest person position since 2017. This is Shane Begum live from the Chinese capital. Coming up in business, huge gains on the market for a popular Chinese video sharing platform.
You're listening to the Beijing Hour. 60 minutes of comprehensive news. Your window on China and the world.
It's 37 past the hour now. Turning to business. The People's Bank of China says it'll adhere to the general principle of pursuing progress while ensuring stability and other financial support to accelerate development. The statement was released on the heels of an annual gathering of the Chinese Central Bank, which outlined key policies and tasks for 2021. The major tasks include implementing a flexible, precise, reasonable, and moderate monetary policy. Popular video platform Bilibili has seen its shares increase over 300% on the NASDAQ over the past 12 months. Bilibili went public on the NASDAQ back in 2018 at $11.50 per American depository share, or ADS, raised over $480 million. Its shares closed at nearly 95 apiece on Monday, marking a rise of more than 700% since the IPO. The Chinese online video sharing platform has become increasingly popular among millennials and Generation Z in China. The platform mainly relies on user-generated content. The number of monthly active users hit 200 million last August. With more on this, we're joined by Ronald Wan, the CEO of Partners Financial Holdings. Good morning.
Good morning.
So considering the performance of the firm on the NASDAQ over the past couple of years, what's your take on the growth potential remaining for this video platform?
I think the overwhelming performance of Bilibili on the stock exchange has proved that the domestic market in China, particularly video market in China, is becoming more and more sophisticated, and the demand from the viewers has been increasing significantly. And it also marks that the Chinese market in the future will continue a very significant growth. And this actually has benefited a lot of video platform companies. And Bilibili's share price performance and its financial performance will actually mark a very significant revolution in the industry. And it will actually provide more capacity development for other players as well. So I think this marks a very encouraging and positive development in Chinese service industry, which can be demonstrated by the performance of the video entertainment related sectors.
CNBC reports revealed that Bilibili is mulling a secondary IPO in Hong Kong, and it'll happen this month. The Nasdaq listed company is expected to pull in over $2 billion US. So, what do you make of Bilibili's rumored attempt to list in Hong Kong?
I think it is highly likely because we have seen a lot of US listed Chinese company has been seeking listing in Hong Kong. As we all know, Hong Kong is the international financial center of China, and actually we've seen the successful listing of Alibaba, JD, and a lot of other companies, the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, and the market performance and the market demand has been really strong. So I think the rumors actually was some sort of evidence that a lot of other companies, in addition to Bilibili, will be coming back to Hong Kong, and this is likely to mark the trend that all remaining companies will also see listing in Hong Kong as well. It's actually complement and supplementary and provide supplementary, mechanism to attract more investors in the company. It actually do something good, to the share price performance and to the shareholders as well. I think this is something which need to be encouraged and need to be further developed. And this is a positive sign for both Hong Kong investors, Chinese investors, and U.S. investors as well.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning. That's Ronald Wen, the CEO of Partners Financial Holdings, sharing his insights into the IPO boom on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange.
Well, what about great?
It's 44 past the hour. The import and export volume of the Manzhouli Comprehensive Bonded Zone in Inner Mongolia exceeded 1.1 billion yuan, roughly $170 million US last year. The management committee of the zone says foreign trade volume doubled compared to the previous year. The zone includes 3 road freight routes linking China with Poland, Italy, and Russia. Foreign and domestic convenience stores are becoming increasingly popular in the city of Zhengzhou, the capital of Hunan province. The first 7-Eleven convenience store in the city has been drawing a steady stream of customers since it opened in October. Zhengzhou, the company says they're planning to expand the business to the vast central region of China.
In the next few years, we plan to open 30 to 50 stores per year to eventually cover more cities in central China's city cluster.
The daily sales volume of the store stands at around 90,000 yuan, or nearly $14,000 US. The store's manager says turnover reached 650,000 yuan, over $100,000 US on opening day, and that's a record for 7-Eleven stores opening worldwide. Driven by new lifestyles, the total number of convenience shops in the city has been rising rapidly. Chairman He Hongjian of the Hunan Commercial Trade Association says it's good for consumers to be exposed to more choices.
When more international brands and well-known domestic brands develop and compete with each other freely in Zhengzhou, consumers can enjoy the benefits and convenience.
Domestic convenience stores are also springing up. Beijing-based chain Bianlifeng, or Convenience B, its first store in Zhengzhou last year. Since June, it's opened 30 more stores locally. Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba is planning to enter the Zhengzhou market with its Hema Fresh supermarket brand later on this year. Australian national airline Qantas has resumed bookings for international flights starting from July 1st this year, in a promising sign that overseas travel might return sooner than expected. The airline started taking bookings for almost all of its flights across its international network. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in sports, the 2023 AFC Asian Cup in China.
The Beijing Hour.
Hello, I'm Peter Dinklage from X-Men Days of Future Past. You are listening to the Beijing Hour.
Hi, I'm Kathy Freeman. You're listening to the Beijing Hour.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lang Lang. Welcome to the Beijing Hour.
The Beijing Hour, your window to China and the world.
It's 47 minutes past the hour now. Turning to sports, and here's Yang Guang.
Thank you, Shane. The 2023 AFC Asian Cup in China will be the longest in the history of the continental competition.
Organizers announced on Thursday that the tournament will take place across 10 cities in China from June the 16th to July the 16th, 2023. Meantime, Guangzhou was surprisingly dropped out as the host city. The list includes Beijing, Shanghai, Chongqing, Suzhou, and others. The 18th edition of the tournament will see the top 24 national teams facing off for the most coveted prize in Asian football. Liverpool's FA Cup third-round match against Aston Villa scheduled for today is in doubt after Villa reported fresh COVID-19 cases in their first-team squad. Villa said they had closed their training ground and cancelled Thursday's training session as a number of players and staff went into isolation. Earlier, the English FA said that Southampton's FA Cup third-round match at home to Shrewsbury Town will not take place as scheduled on Saturday after the third-tier team reported several COVID-19 cases. Shrewsbury said that due to the significant number of cases, they didn't have enough fit players to fulfill the fixture. COVID-19 outbreaks have led 4 Premier League matches being postponed and more than 50 games in the lower divisions being called off this season. The CBA resumed action on Thursday with league leader Liaoning continuing its ruthless performance. They beat Shanxi 124-87 with the center Han Dejun notching a game-high 18 points. Point guard Guo Ailun snatched 17 points in just 12 minutes as the game went into garbage time early in the fourth quarter. Guo says he hopes the win will encourage the club's home city in its fight against the pandemic.
It's an unusual year. Shenyang has seen a resurgence of the pandemic. I need to play my role, but I would say the real heroes are those who are fighting the pandemic and safeguarding our lives. We as a team need to bring our fans a competent spirit and more hopes.
Meanwhile, Zhou Qi scored 41 points on his return to help Xinjiang beat Tianjin 119-106. 6 players scored double digits for Tianjin, but they were still unable to take the win. In other action, the Zhejiang Lions edged the Beikong 101-94. Fujian stopped Shanghai's 6-game winning streak with a 110-98 victory. At the Dakar Rally, Stefan Peter Hansel extended his overall lead in the car category after the 5th stage, which was won by South African driver Janelle de Villiers. Peter Hansel was 3rd on the stage, with the closest rival Nasser Latia finishing 4th. Peter Hansel now holds a lead of 6 minutes and 11 seconds. Defending champion Carlos Sainz remains 3rd overall, but trails the leader by 48 minutes after ending the stage 9th. Meanwhile, Hank Latigan, who finished 3rd in Wednesday's stage, crashed out of the race after rolling his Toyota. The rookie driver was airlifted to a hospital in Riyadh with a fractured collarbone. In the motorcycle category, Kevin Benavides won the stage and took the lead despite falling and suffering a broken nose. The Honda rider finished on almost 8 minutes ahead of overnight leader Javier de Sotri to go on top of the standings. In tennis action from the season opening WTA Abu Dhabi Open, Chinese singles rookie Yang Zhao Xuan put up a fight against the Australian Open champion Sophia Cannon, but fell short in a straight set loss. The world 789 started strong, but the American escaped the first set through a tiebreak. Cannon then shrugged off her rusty form and won the second set 6-2. It's her first competitive match since losing her final at Roland Garros in September last year. Elsewhere, 19-year-old Chinese player Wang Yishu got past the Swiss veteran Arantxa Rus in 3 sets. Wang Yafan suffered a first-round exit at the hands of Katerina Bondarenko. Second seed Elena Svitolina had no problems getting past Jessica Pegula in straight sets. Other top-seeded players, including Karolina Pliskova, Garbine Muguruza, and Arina Sabalenka, also got through. With just over 6 months until the Tokyo Olympics are set to open, Japan declared a state of emergency in the capital and the 3 nearby regions on Thursday as coronavirus cases continue to surge. Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga issued the declaration after Tokyo recorded daily records of over 2,400 cases. But he insisted that he's confident that the Olympics will go ahead with a global vaccination effort.
I think it's possible to hold the Olympics because administering of vaccines has begun around the world. I want to start vaccinations in Japan by the end of February. If we take appropriate measures, I think the public feelings towards the Olympics will change. In any case, I would like to do all I can in putting in place coronavirus measures.
Meanwhile, the upcoming exhibitions of the Tokyo Olympic torch around the Japanese capital have been postponed. The torches have traveled to 14 places since November and were scheduled to be exhibited on Thursday in Akiruno City. That has been delayed until January 29th. Beijing will build a Winter Olympic Park in the city's western region to be completed by the end of September. Jinshan will cover an area. Following the completion of the park, Beijing will have a brand new marathon route which will not cross any public roads.
Thank you very much for the update. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in culture and entertainment, music events in the US and the UK are being postponed or canceled because of the pandemic.
Want to know what's trending in China? China Plus News Facebook page helps you to discover the real China, from the latest news to quirky Chinese inventions, videos, photos, live streaming, and more. Join in the conversation today by searching for China Plus News on Facebook and discover its news, its people, its traditions, and culture. China Plus News Facebook page. Open your eyes to the real China.
At 53 past the hour, turning to culture and entertainment, a number of music events and festivals in the US and UK could be delayed or even scrapped because of the pandemic and a lack of financial support. The Grammys have been postponed, while the Glastonbury Festival, the world's largest greenfield festival, is facing cancellation. Zhang Mengyuan has details.
The Grammy Awards ceremony that was set for January the 31st has been postponed due to the coronavirus surge in Los Angeles. The ceremony to present the highest awards in the music industry may take place in March. Grammy organizers said late last year they were seeking to change the way the annual show was held, doing without audiences and the traditional red carpet. And they were looking at staging some performances in small outdoor venues rather than a large indoor Staples Center in downtown Los Angeles. Meanwhile, Britain's festivals will have to start pulling the plug on events for the second year. Jamie Joku Goodwin, chief executive at music industry trade body UK Music, said event organizers needed a date for live music to start up again, and government backing for an insurance policy in case the pandemic caused new cancellations.
We're asking for an indicative date from government, saying when we can restart again safely as an industry, and we're also asking for an insurance scheme from government, underwritten by government, that will help insure events so that if they are cancelled, there'll be some sort of compensation, which will give us confidence as a sector to be able to plan events now to happen in summer, which will hopefully be post-pandemic, and help drive that post-pandemic economic and cultural revival that our country desperately needs.
Ranging from Glastonbury to events dedicated to opera, folk, rock, and everything in between, live music contributed £1.3 billion directly to the economy in 2019 and £4.7 billion in music tourism.
You're not counting on the
And Joku Goodwin said there was a limited time window for the music world to gain greater clarity on the road ahead.
But the reality is it's a bit of a race against time, because the big festivals and the big events that would normally be happening over summer, they are looking at the situation right now. They're having to take a call this month pretty much. This month for most of them about whether or not they can happen in 2020. So we do have a matter of weeks in which we can actually convince major events to hold us cancelling and actually to continue.
For its part, Britain's Department for Culture, Media and Sport says it will work flat out to help ensure the events are able to take place once again.
And that was Zhang Mengyuan reporting. A documentary that reveals the evolution of philosophy, governance, and culture through the ages in China has won public praise with its dramatic reconstruction of historical stories and spectacular photography. The 36-episode documentary entitled China is rated 8.6 out of 10 on the review site Douban. Its first season aired on Hunan Satellite TV and the live streaming platform Mango TV. The documentary chronicles the dynasty from the spring and autumn period that saw the rise of different schools of thought to the Tang Dynasty in its heyday. The documentary was shot in ultra-high definition with most scenes filmed in slow motion. A new type of clothing inspired by the ancient Japanese art of origami could help the fashion industry reduce waste. London-based startup KPT, which is French for little pleat, designs children's clothes with an innovative pleat system that lets them grow with the child, expanding in multiple directions, but also able to contract back to their original size. Founder Ryan Yessen says his outfits include a special structure embedded in the fabric that was inspired by origami, the ancient Japanese art of paper folding.
So PTP exists because the fashion industry is the world's second largest polluter, and we already know what one of the solutions is, and that is to extend the life and use of clothes, and that's the best way we can reach our carbon, water, and waste emission targets by 2030. PTP has done this by focusing on a very niche user group, which is children, and designing clothes from the ground up to grow with them.
One said that PTP clothes currently fits a child for more than 3 years, growing through 7 distinct sizes before being reset back to the smallest size and passed on to the next infant or sibling. It's 58 past the hour. Checking the forecast. Beijing today, sunny skies and -3 Celsius for a high. It'll dip down to -10 tonight. Chongqing's getting clouds and 5, a low of +3. Last is sunny in 15 minutes, down to -4. Hong Kong's cloudy in 13 with a low of 7 degrees. And that's it for this edition of the Beijing Hour. Making news this morning, the U.S. Congress has certified President-elect Joe Biden's victory in the 2020 election. On behalf of the staff, this is Shane Bigham in the Chinese capital, hoping you'll join us for the next edition of the Beijing Hour and open a window to the world together.
我要学汉语 I want to learn Chinese.
其实并不难 It can be fun.
Chinese studio.
Inherently a genius of ventilation.
Ken, you should be an expert now when ordering food in a Chinese restaurant.
Yes, Jia, for the last couple of weeks on Chinese Studio, we've been learning how to order food, drinks, call the waiter or waitress over, and all sorts of useful expressions. But now the meal is ending, I'm full, and we need to wrap up this transaction.
Okay, but we have only one more restaurant lesson left. Let's check keywords of the day.
Keywords of the day. Excuse me, can I get the bill? 服务员买单 How much is it? 多少钱 Can I get the receipt? 开张发票 How late are you open until? 你们几点关门 All in today's Chinese studio.
Okay, Jia, after eating all of this marvelous Chinese food, I am now full and ready to go home, or maybe even better, go for a walk. So how do I ask for the bill?
Well, you should say 服务员买单
服务员买单
服务员 waiter or waitress. We learned it in our last lesson.
Right. 服务员
买单 to pay for the bill.
买单
买 means buy. 买 the third tone.
买
单 the first tone. Here it means bill.
单
服务员买单
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 好的
多少钱
一共20块
From the previous conversation, you may have found a way of asking, how much is it?
Yes, in Chinese, we've learned this before. It's 多少钱
多少钱 How much is it?
钱 the second tone, right?
Yes.
Isn't that money?
服务员买单多少钱
您的餐费是200块
So Jia, how do you say, can I get a receipt in Chinese?
It's 开张发票
开张发票
开发票 means you want the waiter or waitress to write a receipt for you. 发票 means receipt. We learned it in the taxi lesson, remember?
Yes, 发票
张 is short for 一张
张 So like 点儿 is short for 一点儿 right?
Exactly. Together it's 开张发票
开张发票
服务员买单多少钱
您的餐费是200块
开张发票
好的您稍等
Yeah, Jim. I often have a late dinner, so I'm always worried if they will suddenly close the restaurant while I'm eating. And plus, I may want to come back another day late. So what's the Chinese for how late are you open until?
Well, Cam, it's not very good for your health. Anyway, it's 你们几点关门?
你们几点关门?
你们 means you.
你们
几点 what time?
几点
关门 normally it means close the door, but here it has a special meaning of closed.
关门 closed.
So how late are you open until is 你们几点关门?
你们几点关门?
服务员，你们几点关门？
晚上10点。
服务员，买单。
好的，
多少钱？
一共20块。
Keyword reminder. Excuse me, can I get the bill? 服务员，买单。How much is it? 多少钱 Can I get the receipt? 开张发票。How late are you open until? 你们几点关门
Well, Cam, now I'm sure that you know how to speak Chinese when you are in a restaurant. It has been a busy 2 weeks of learning for you.
Yes, it sure has, yeah, Jim. And that brings us to the question of the day. How do you say, how late are you open until in Chinese?
明天见。
再见。
You're listening to China Plus Radio, connecting you with China and the world.
What the hell the onions talk about?
Now the news. I'm Shane Bigham. Outgoing U.S. President Donald Trump, first time that Joe Biden will be the next U.S. president. He also vows to ensure an orderly transfer of power. The remarks come after top Democrats called for removing him from office following Wednesday's riot in the Capitol. Trump condemned the violence, saying the rioters have defiled the seat of American democracy. A growing